you the news from around the globe and here in Sri Lanka. This is the news at 9. A very good evening. I'm Joel Outscourt.
Good evening, I'm Aishwarya Pinto. Let's start off with a look at the headlines.
SLFP Central Working Committee decides to confer powers to the President to take a decision on national government ministerial portfolios and the post of opposition leader. Ranjan Ramanayaka challenges the bribery commissioner for an open debate. Cabinet must adopt a ministerial code which will demonstrate of its commitment to good governance, a statement by Chandra Jayaratna. The water supply to Colombo disrupted once again today after the water in the Kalani River was contaminated with oil.
On to our top story this evening. The SLFP says that it has not yet reached a final decision on the post of Speaker, Opposition Leader and the other key parliamentary positions. Acting General Secretary of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, Duminda Dissanayake, said that such decisions will be reached after Parliament convenes on Tuesday.
The inaugural session of the 8th Parliament of Sri Lanka will commence at 9:30 a.m. on Tuesday, the 1st of September. Preparations are currently underway at the Parliamentary Complex for the inaugural session of Parliament. According to the results of the 2015 parliamentary elections, the United National Party won 106 parliamentary seats, inclusive of the national basis seats, while the United People's Freedom Alliance won 95 seats, also inclusive of the national basis seats. The JVP secured 6 parliamentary seats, while the Ilangai Thamularasa Katchi or ITAC won 16 seats in parliament. The Sri Lanka Muslim Congress and the EPDA won 1 parliamentary seat each.
Firstly, the
General Secretary of Parliament will read out the statement from the President. Later, a new Speaker will be selected for Parliament. Seats for the MPs will be decided on the seniority of the MPs. The former President is also a Member of Parliament. Therefore, when he enters Parliament this time around, he will be assigned a seat based on his seniority. The post of Leader of the Opposition will be given to the party with the majority of seats in the opposition. From then, Parliament will be adjourned temporarily until 3 in the afternoon. Again at 3 p.m, Parliament will convene ceremonially under the auspices of the President. The President will announce the policy of the new government on that day. The United National Party won a majority of seats in the parliamentary elections. As a party, we have no issue in them making the nomination for the post of Speaker in Parliament. There is no agreement over the post of Opposition Leader. There are more days for us to make the decision and we will not rush in making the decision. Within the concept of the national government, we will operate with an understanding on moving forward while maintaining the identities of both the parties. Thereafter, we need to take decisions on the ministerial portfolios and the powers. On that basis, the Sri Lanka Freedom Party will receive ministerial portfolios. In addition, we will operate as the major partner of the government.
Newsfirst also inquired from the United National Party on the new cabinet of ministers.
You have 3 ministers now. That is D.M. Swaminathan as the Minister of Resettlement. You have Mangala Samarira as the Minister of Foreign Affairs, and then you have Mr. Vijaydas Rajapaksa as the Minister of Justice. How many more ministers in this national government? And how many deputy ministers?
I cannot give an exact answer. That tentatively it may be about 45 ministers.
45 ministers, and how many deputy ministers?
Maybe equal number.
45 ministers and 45 deputy ministers.
Deputies and state, both.
So it's going to be a large cabinet.
Large cabinet.
Is this because you want to fulfill the aspirations of those in the cabinet?
No, that is basically that we promise for a national government, for a temporary arrangement at least for a period of 2 years. Then if we resolve these things, then after that of course we will be able to go for a smaller cabinet.
When will the cabinet sworn in?
Tentatively on 2nd.
However, Duminda Dissanayake, the acting SLFP General Secretary, had said that on the 2nd they will not have the cabinet of ministers being appointed because they have the anniversary of the party.
Yeah, that depends on the party leaders can decide on it. Parties had agreed on 2nd. That I think that they knew this party anniversary also fallen on the same day.
For the complete interview with Minister of Justice Vijaydas Rajapaksa, watch Best in Focus on Sunday at 9:30 p.m. on MTV.
The Central Working Committee of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party convened today once again.
The Sri Lanka Freedom Party Central Working Committee meeting was presided over President Maithripala Sirisena. Positions in the national government and the current political situation was broadly discussed at this meeting. The Central Working Committee took a decision on the positions. It was to confer powers to the President to make those decisions. He will discuss this with everyone and take a final decision. The final decision on all other positions will be informed after the President discusses it with all. That was the decision of the Central Working Committee.
The cases that were filed at the Colombo District Court by Professor Vishwa Varnapala and Duminda Dissanayake seeking that they be allowed to operate as the General Secretaries of the United People's Freedom Alliance and the Sri Lanka Freedom Party respectively without obstruction were withdrawn today.
Earlier, an enjoining order was issued against Susil Premajanta and Anura Priyadarshinyappa over this case. Presenting facts to court, attorneys pointed out that Susil Premajanta had resigned from his post as General Secretary of the UPFA. Duminda Dissanayake and Vishwa Varnapala will be able to operate in their capacities as General Secretaries without obstruction. President's Counsel K. Kanagiswaran and Chandrakajaya Sundara appeared on behalf of Professor Vishwa Varnapala and Duminda Dissanayake.
The legal issues we had were resolved. There are no more obstacles. I will continue to serve as the General Secretary. The cases that were filed by the Secretaries of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party and the United People's Freedom Alliance with regard to functioning in their capacity without obstructions were withdrawn by Duminda Dissanayake and Vishwa Varnapala today. The President is hoping to move forward with the cooperation of the party.
Welcome back to the news. Still in local news, the National Freedom Front today made a request from the Supreme Court to allow the NFF to support the FR petition that was filed by the Mahajana Eksat Peramuna over the national list of the United People's Freedom Alliance.
The National Freedom Front informed court that it too contested under the UPFA ticket at the recent parliamentary elections. The NFF says that initially the party's representatives were allowed to be included into the national list, but however that opportunity had been deprived from them later on. PSC Vijayanaka and Mohammed Musame will be included into this case. When this case is taken up on Monday, we will present facts to court.
The national list that was presented by Susil Premajanta was an arbitrary one that breaches the agreements within the alliance. It is the people's right to elect public representatives. We will take legal action against whatever undermines democracy and the people's right.
Former Minister Athawada Seniviratne, convening a media briefing in the Hewita today, provided reasons for the party suffering defeat at the elections.
We suffered defeat because of the Mahinda faction and the other factions that were created in this district. The party was divided. They said not to vote for the Maitri faction, citing that if you vote for them, they will later cross to the UMP. That is why they mentioned 3 names, told the people not to vote for us. We worked for the presidential election to make the former president victorious. At that time, the people were divided. They wanted their votes. The sole reason for this defeat is because persons operating as Mahinda's people. Chairman of the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery and corruption, Jagat Bala Patamadi, responded to a statement by Ranjan Ramanayake. This situation has given cause to much debate on the conduct of the Bribery Commission.
Ranjan Ramanayake kiyana keneku kiwa yam.
An individual named Ranjan Ramanayake had said that investigations are not taking place over complaints filed against a number of persons. This is a baseless accusation. The Commission to investigate allegation of bribery or corruption is conducting investigations within its legal framework on all complaints. I state this with responsibility. Ranjan Ramanayake has no legal provision to influence the investigations carried out by the Commission to investigate allegation of bribery or corruption. In addition, this individual named Ranjan Ramanayake has personally insulted me. I have been involved in the legal profession and the judiciary for over 3 decades. As a respected person, I will not stoop to the level of a person like Ranjan Ramanayake in order to respond to the statements that were made.
මට මනාප උද්දා තිබෙන ක්‍රීතිමත් පුද්ගලයෙක් වශයෙන් මේ වාගේ තොට්ටු දෙකේ ප්‍රකාශවලට උත්තර දීමට රංජන් රාමනායක කියන තැනත්තා වාගේ පහත් තත්ත්වයට වැටීමට අදහස් කරන්නේ නැත.
Speaking to reporters today, Ranjan Ramanayaka once again commented on the bribery commission.
ප්‍රශ්නයක් තියෙනවා. බාලපටවැදි මහත්තයා පහුගිය ටිකේ එතුමාගේ භූමිකාව. දැන් එතුමා පහුගිය ටිකේ
There is an issue surrounding the position of Jagat Balapattabandi. Has he responded to certain matters over the recent past? The annual reports of the Commission should be submitted to Parliament. However, none of them have been produced. In this document, he mentions of 48 cases. This means that the chairman of the Commission does not know the exact number of cases that have been filed by the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption. There is the tsunami file of his leader. That means the leader who appointed him. Will he launch an investigation against the leader who appointed him? That is the question the people have. He is concealing these files while serving at the Commission to investigate allegations of bribery or corruption.
අල්ලසා දූෂණ කොමිසමේ ඇතුලේ ඉඳගෙන ඒ ෆයිල් හංගනවා. ගරු සභාපති බාලපටබැදි මහත්තයෝ එක එක පත්තරවලට
Dear Chairman, Mr. Balapattabandi, do not send press statements to the newspapers. You can invite me for a debate at any time at any given location. It can even be the bribery commission. For the past years, you had 3 meals to eat from the taxpayers' money. Your household expenses were from the taxpayers' money. The people of this country who pay tax were bearing this. The people are paying to keep you in this position in order to nab the rogues. They are not paying for the protection of rogues or the concealing of the files. Therefore, I invite you for a face-to-face challenge.
රකින්න නෙමෙයි. ඉතින් ඒ හින්දා මම තමුන්නාසට අභියෝග කරනවා. තමුන්නාසේ එක එක පත්‍ර වලට කොළ යවන්න නැතුව තමුන්ට අවශ්‍ය දේවල් ලිඛිතව යවන්න නැතුව face to face අභියෝගයකට එන්න.
In a letter addressed to President Maithripala Sirisena, Chandra Jayarathne says Cabinet must adopt a ministerial code which will demonstrate of its commitment to good governance.
Chandra Jayarathne in the letter says that in line with the publicly declared commitment to the principles and practices of good governance, the new coalition government due to meet for the first time next week under the President's leadership directions and the stewardship of the newly elected Prime Minister. It is suggested that at the said first meeting of the Cabinet, it resolves to adopt and have in place within 1 month a new ministerial code of conduct. He notes that it should be supported by due commitment to accepted principles of public life and relevant declarations of interest and applicable party declarations made by all members of the new Cabinet of Ministers. He adds that this new ministerial code of conduct could be developed by the subcommittee of the Cabinet, possibly benchmarked to the ministerial code of the United Kingdom Cabinet. He notes that this first step could thereafter be extended to cover elected representatives and persons in public life to newly developed codes of conduct and ethics, which too will be in line with the pledges made before the presidential and parliamentary elections.
And in news from the President's diary, President Maithripala Sirisena emphasized on the importance of a national policy for the construction industry. The President made this statement addressing an event at the BMICH today. President Maithripala Sirisena declared open the Construction Expo 2015 this morning. The event was organized in line with the 15th anniversary of the National Construction Association of Sri Lanka. The President visited the stalls at the exhibition and engaged in cordial discussions with those in the construction sector.
ඉදිකිරීම් ශේෂ්ත්‍රයේ ඇති තිබෙන ජාත්‍යන්තර දැනුම හා
We need to move forward in the competitive world together with the international knowledge acquired in the construction sector. As a country, we need to have a national plan for the construction sector. Yes, I accept that there is a need for national policy to be formulated for this sector, and that needs to be primarily done together with the public and private sectors. That is what I believe in.
Former Secretary of the Treasury, P.B. Jayasundara, arrived at the Police Special Investigation Unit this morning to provide a statement.
That a statement was obtained regarding an alleged fraud that had taken place at the Reconstruction and Development Agency, or RADA. Although the media attempted to obtain a response in this regard from P.B. Jayasundara, the attempts were futile. On to one of the stories that made it to the headlines this evening. The water supply to the Colombo, Sri Javandhapura and Dehivala Mount Lavinia municipalities was disrupted once again today. The reason for the disruption was oil contaminating the water in the Kalani River, from which water is obtained to the Ambatale water treatment plant. The National Water Supply and Drainage Board said that the water supply has been restored to many areas.
Oil contaminated the water in the Kalani River for the second time in 2 weeks, forcing the Ambatale water treatment plant to suspend the supply of water. Thereby, the National Water Supply and Drainage Board said that the water supply to the Colombo, Sri Javandhapura and Dehivala Mount Lavinia municipalities were limited for several hours.
Water from Kalani River is directed to the Ambatale water treatment plant from this location. As a layer of oil was witnessed from this area at around 9 this morning, steps were taken to suspend the supply of water. At 1 this afternoon, measures were taken to resume the operations after removing the layer of oil. The water that is directed from here is distributed to the Colombo, Kottava, Batramulla, Dehivala, Mount Lavinia and Kolonnava areas. The Ambatale water treatment plant purifies 500,000 cubic meters of water on a daily basis.
85% of the water requirement from Colombo is provided from the Ambatale water treatment plant. Water that is sent from Ambatale to the supply centres in Maliga Kanda, Eli House, Kotte and Dehivala is later supplied to the municipalities of those areas.
We are conducting an investigation using 2 vessels. We will try to identify the source of the oil that contaminated the river. Thereafter, we decided to suspend the water supply for a period of 2.5 hours to Colombo and its suburbs. Afterwards, we started to supply water to the storage tanks. I believe from 345 supply tanks, water has been distributed to the respective areas.
The water supply to a number of areas was suspended after oil mixed with the water of the Kalani River on the 17th. Central Environmental Authority took measures to suspend the environmental license and the operations of the company that was responsible for the contamination.
A special booklet that was prepared by Newsfirst for the Asala Festival of the Temple of the Sacred Tooth Relic in Kandy was presented to the Mahanayakas of the Malwatu and Asgiri chapters. The book, titled Sirasanamami, was edited by K. Migahakumara of the Religious Affairs section of the Temple of the Sacred Tooth Relic.
The Newsfirst team called on the Mahanayaka of the Asgiri chapter of the Siam sect, Most Venerable Galagama Sri Attadasithera, this morning and presented the booklet.
This task that you have undertaken as the Sivasa Media Institution for the Sacred Relics and your future tasks will be blessed by the gods. May the gods also bless all those serving at the Sivasa Media Institution.
We are raising awareness among the people in every possible way. We also undertook a task ahead of the elections to elect untainted persons to Parliament.
Afterwards, the Newsfirst team called on the Mahanayaka of the Malwatu chapter of the Siam sect, Most Venerable Tibbatuwavi Sri Sumangala Thera.
Over the recent past, we raised awareness over the use of drugs.
Yes, you worked hard to elect untainted persons to Parliament.
The Newsfirst team also met with the Diyavadhanenilame of the Temple of the Sacred Tooth Relic.
सीमा सहित कैपिटल महाराजा संविधानයේ MTV සහ MBC ආයතනත් ඒ වගේම Newsfirst ආයතනයත් එක්ව
MTV and MBC together with Newsfirst of the Capital Maharaja Organization Limited printed this booklet with the assistance of the Temple of the Sacred Tooth Relic. The chairman, the group directors and everyone else at the Capital Maharaja Organization Limited have always supported such national needs and have represented these needs. This is one such instance. Today we presented this booklet to the Mahanayakas and the Diyavadhanenilame, and it will be distributed to the devotees who arrive at the Temple of the Sacred Tooth Relic tomorrow.
මේ දල්දා මාලිකාව වැඳ පුදා ගන්නට එන බැතිමතුන්ට පිරිනැමීමට සියලු කටයුතු මේ වන විට සූදානම් කරලා තියෙනවා.
Welcome back to the news. President's Coordinating Secretary Rajika Lalitha Kodituakku commenced work as a member of the Sri Javandhapura Kotte Urban Council this morning.
Rajika Kodituakku was welcomed to the Urban Council by Mayor of Kotte Janaka Ranawaka this morning. After he was accorded a welcome by the other councillors, he made his inaugural speech to the council. Later, Wajika Kodituaku expressed the following views to the media. I wish to mention that I will be of service to not only the people of Kotte but to everyone in any given way using the connections of the President. Under the new method of governance, the President's good governance concept will provide support to the assistance that will be meted out to the people. I believe that new persons with new policies and new visions need to be given a place in the current political situation.
A symposium on the green technology was held at the University of Grants Commission today. The event was organized taking a number of aspects such as vital importance of incorporating green technology into the country's development and its wide application to product and construct of technologies into consideration.
We are talking about world-class universities and all kinds of state-of-the-art R&D. So select an area where we can do research. And if we try to be number one in electronics, may not be that easy, but we are trying, because recently we got 210 million rupee grant to our electronics department to buy the state-of-the-art software, and we have already spent 112 million buying one software. One software has cost 112 million rupees, and we have already bought it. So you can see, you can give a try in electronics, but in green, we can be the world leaders, because others are scared of trying new solutions, whereas we are not. And we have the potential to be the leader in the world, because we have simple systems, favorable climate, the best building materials, so we can be the leader. So we have a great potential to publish this work and help Sri Lanka to be recognized as a center of excellence for green technology, applicable to tropical climates.
UNP MP-elect from the Gampaha district, Harshana Rajakaruna, today called on the Mahanayaka of the Malwatu chapter of the Siam sect, the Most Venerable Tibbatuave Sumangala Thero.
Harshana Rajakaruna arrived at the Malwatu Vihara and obtained blessings. I obtained the highest number of votes for the United National Party as a newcomer.
The election took place in a good manner. The President, the Prime Minister and the Inspector General of Police also worked on this. The Elections Commissioner too implemented the law to the letter.
There were no interferences. They let him do his duties.
If there was no such interference, then you may not have been able to win. The Prime Minister has set a good example.
Harshana Rajakaruna spoke to the media thereafter. Even before the elections, the United National Party invited the other parties to be part of the new government. Today, the UNP and the SLFP have reached an agreement. If Uday Gamman Pillai and Bimal Weerawangsa wish to serve the people, they can join in the program. They cannot make allegations without joining it. They are the ones who put Mahinda Rajapaksa also in trouble.
Well, with that, we wrap up the news tonight. Thank you very much for stopping by. For the Newsfirst team, I'm Joel Outsko.
I'm Aishwarya Pinto. Good night.
Good night.